listening to Never Off Duty. This week, Sheriff Cook is in the hot seat with us.
Good morning.
Along with Lieutenant Mike Layne.
Good morning.
The Clay County Sheriff's Office, who is also the communications. You just told me, and literally I had 2 seconds ago.
Judson, you're starting out rough this morning, man. Okay, Lieutenant Mike Layne is the lieutenant over the Community Affairs Unit for the Clay County Sheriff's Office.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. I always lump everything together into you're just communications.
I saw you had this. We talked about it, and then I saw the look in your eyes, and it went blank. I'm like, you just went blank.
Yes, we can blame our local McDonald's for that too, because of the crowd.
Yes. So
it's early in the morning.
Early in the morning, and before these podcasts, my routine is I go get an orange juice and a breakfast burrito. So I pulled up this morning to get my orange juice and breakfast burrito, and there was a long line, and I'm like, I'm not going to make the recording time, so I had to skip it. So I'm running half full today.
Hangry.
I'm hangry.
Hangry.
Yes.
No, and it is true. Because I live right down the road also, and it's just it's amazing how good their business is. So good for them.
That was my first job as a teenager.
Okay, so we have a long discussion.
We have a guest here this morning. We do. We'll get to him in just a minute.
Well, originally we can
talk about McDonald's. I also like McDonald's.
There you go. There you go.
I prefer their breakfast though.
Yes,
that's my favorite.
100%.
But no, I had when I didn't know we were going to have another guest, I started going through my head all these things that I want to ask, because eventually we need to do kind of an in-depth view. I'd like to know what if you hadn't have gone into law enforcement, those questions. So they're coming now. We won't do that today because we have a guest, and we have important things to discuss. We'll talk about what your job is, Lieutenant, and some of the things you oversee. Because we talked about Police Athletic League, which is something that I recently, 2 years ago, learned about, and I'd heard about it, but I didn't know the value it added to our community and the good it did. And I was happy to become on as a sponsor of that. So. Let's start with. You want to start with you're kind of how did you get in law enforcement? Let's start with that. Well, let's start with your job, and then we'll work backwards.
Okay.
What do you do?
What do you do, Mike?
I'm actually over.
Tell the taxpayers what you do.
I'm the community. Tell the taxpayers what I do. Wow. Okay. Never been put on the spot like that. I'm the lieutenant over community affairs. It is actually not somewhere I ever saw my career going. I'm more of a hands-on kind of guy. I've been a patrol watch commander. I've been a patrol. I was a sergeant in patrol. I was a lieutenant over investigations, all the way up to and including homicide, and that was always my forte. And when I was not necessarily recruited, but approached about community affairs, I did not see that in my career path. I was more of a hands-on kind of guy on the police side, putting people in jail, chasing bad guys, kicking indoors, all the stuff that cops want to do when they're coming up in the career field. And I sat around and I thought about it long and hard, and I decided that I would give community affairs a shot, not realizing all of the things I would be in charge of.
Surprise!
Hi, surprise! Once I did take it, I realized there's so much more than you think about community affairs, and you think about things like coffee with a cop, and you think about sticker badges and working parades and doing all that fun kind of stuff. That fun kind of stuff is part of that, and it's necessary in today's world. But we do a whole lot more outreach and community support than anybody would even realize. We deal with the opioid epidemic, the homelessness epidemic. I'm involved in task forces for both of those. We deal with problems that patrol can't necessarily solve because they are so busy. My guys have a little extra time to put toward those kind of problems. So we enjoy doing that kind of work. Now, don't get me wrong, I get to have coffee with a cop, and I get to go have ice cream with kiddos, and it's all good fun. But we wear so many hats in law enforcement. Everybody, not community affairs, but everybody. We're social workers. We're police officers. We are psychologists. We do all these things when we work out here every day. But on the community affairs side, we wear a few more hats because, and it's my little motto, we deal with people who are not necessarily having their worst day ever.
Right.
We get smiles. Patrol responds to a call for service because somebody's having a bad day. That's why they've called the police. In community affairs, a lot of the people that we deal with daily are smiling. So it's mentally, it's a much better place for some of the people that work for me to be in than it is for necessarily the patrol guys who have to deal with the bad things that happen every day.
I could see that. And I think that we talk about from a national level, and that's why, while we are a Clay County show, because we, Clay County Sheriff's Office, but I think that some of the lessons learned here is something that each person could take away to their own force. And it's important to have that aspect of community outreach. You see, and I know it's tougher. I know if you are in a big city and you have a population that unfortunately has a chip on their shoulder about law enforcement, that bridge is a lot harder to build, but it's important to try. And I think when you have a department that's already doing it, it makes it easier down the road when people go, well, they're already reaching out to the community. We're already doing this. We've been doing it for a long time. I would say if you're not doing it, you probably need to be doing it. I would hope every
I think most agencies are.
They are, but are they, but I mean, don't just.
How sincere is it?
Yes.
How genuine
don't
is
just, be give it to the one person in the corner office that you don't like. I mean,
right. And I tell you what Lieutenant Layne, and he touched on it, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. So coffee with a cop, those kinds of things, those are fine, right? But in many ways, they're somewhat superficial because it's limited time, it's limited engagement. They're fun to do. And there's a place for them. But one of the things that our community affairs team does that's really so important and doesn't get a lot of attention is the outreach. So if a patrol deputy responds to a call, let's say we have a senior citizen who's got a dispute with a neighbor over a broken down fence. Okay, well the patrol deputy goes over there, and legally there's nothing for law enforcement to do, right? That's a civil matter. But let's say that the patrol deputy notices that the senior citizen's house is in really bad disrepair. They don't have food. They look disheveled. Our patrol deputies can call the community affairs team and say, hey, I just went to Mrs. Smith's house. She looks like she's having a rough time. She's fighting with her neighbors. Can you guys go over there and see if you can help her? So our community affairs guys will go out and they actually will spend time with people trying to help solve the problems, especially with our most vulnerable populations or with the in the areas that we have the most disputes. Like we will have neighbors that just dispute, they're fighting all the time, and so they'll go out and try to solve that problem long term for us. And there's a lot of exceptional work that goes on there. And again, many times they're dealing with the most vulnerable population, so we don't post that on social media because we don't want to out people, and we don't do this job to always to get the glory, right? We don't, but it's incredible work that goes on, and I don't think it can be understated. They truly have changed people's lives and neighborhoods for the better.
Well, and that's great. I think this is what, again, great about the podcast is we can talk about a side that people don't realize that you do. And quite frankly, you brought up a good point about you can't necessarily share it. There's a lot of good that police departments and sheriff's departments do that they cannot, because you're not bringing personals. It's not public. It's just you did it. It was a good deed, and I'm sure if you were able to list it all out publicly all the time, people would be like, "Wow, I had no idea that." Because too many people think the bad, like, "Oh, I'm going to get a ticket." Like that's
right.
They don't think of all the good, especially once they just got a ticket. They're not like, and they don't recognize like they were speeding. So
and there's a
every
place.
podcast we talk about speeding somehow.
I know.
You do
and
realize.
I don't speed. I don't speed.
I think Judson has a guilty conscience.
Actually don't. I don't speed.
Unfortunately, tickets are a necessary evil, but that's only one small piece of the pie there.
Right.
So in addition to the POP projects, which is what we call those outreach projects, what else is under your command?
So along with community affairs, I am over our reserve program, our part-time officers, our volunteers, which if anybody's looking for a side gig, they want to volunteer for the sheriff's office. We have a lot of different opportunities there as far as helping out with our investigations folks or maybe in fiscal or something like that. We're always looking for volunteers. The volunteer coordinator works for me. Secondary employment coordinator reports to me. And I also have the Police Athletic League, which is a 501c3 youth program. And on top of that, we have the Explorers, which we put under our PAL blanket.
And I want to bring up something because I just did an event and did the secondary employment thing. And I want people to know because one of the guests was like, "Oh wow, you had a sheriff's deputy here." I'm like, "That's because I filled out the form."
Right?
Like, just fill it out. You can
Yeah.
too. I mean, it's not that hard to do, but I don't think people realize they can. There's a lot of services that are available if you'll take the time to look it up and see what it is. So ccso.com is that or
Claysheriff.com
Claysheriff.com.
is the website, and you can go on there if you have an event or something coming up. You can hire an off-duty deputy to help with security. A lot of the churches have security, so it's on the website.
And it's a great if you have an event, it's always good to have a deputy there.
Of course, there's a cost involved.
Yeah,
so
there
the
is a cost.
taxpayers aren't saddled with the cost.
Thank you. That's very important. There is a cost, but look, if you're going to be having an event that might need a deputy, you're probably spending money anyways.
Sure.
So you have a deputy there. It helps with crowd control. It helps with cars getting out there. It's a nice, and trust me, your guest will behave a little bit better with a deputy there.
I don't know what kind of guests you're hanging out with.
That's true. Well, it is Clay County, so
right.
But now speaking of that, this is Clay County. We talk about this a lot. We are a very diverse county because we have some very rural areas. We have some very population dense areas. We have lakes. We have rivers. We have forest. I mean, we have everything short of mountains, but we have some tall areas. We
got Hilltop and Green Cove.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. So, and you have you actually have the Hilltop in Orange Park too.
Yes,
so
yes, that's
there's
true.
some, and that's
That's
kind
true.
of up there, and it looks foresty. So, how does from a like I would imagine like if you're in just a rural area, a police department, because it would probably be, or a sheriff's department there, it would probably be sheriffs for a rural area. It's, you know what you're getting into. Like it's easier. It's just one type of population that you're dealing with. Same thing if you're in the inner city, you know what type of outreach we need to do because we're all living here. Is that harder for you to know that you like, wow, we've got such a well, we were talking the last podcast about the hogs. There's some wild hogs running around near Keystone. And like, I mean, who has to deal with that? Like, that's not every department.
Well, as far as the wild hogs go, those are not regulated by anybody.
Right.
Even if you call Wildlife Commission, they'll tell you just to let them run. They're just hogs. The county's separated into zones, and Zone 1 and Zone 2 are our heavily populated areas. Zone 3 and 4 are more rural areas. I have different deputies assigned to each of those, and the deputy that I have assigned in Community Affairs to the Middleburg area, Middleburg and Keystone, actually doubles as our agricultural deputy.
Oh, wow.
So he has some specific training to deal with that. He goes to loose cow calls, loose horse calls. He makes those relationships.
The lonely goat call.
The lonely goat call.
Which was his first call, which I'll share with you after he finishes. Go ahead.
He tries to build relationships with those folks that own cattle in the area in case we do get any that are loose. Hopefully he'll know where they belong and all that. And he has a very close working relationship with animal control. Animal control is still our premier animal agency in the county. They have the facility to house the animals and all that. We don't have any way at the sheriff's office to house cattle or horses. Animal control still does, so he works closely with them. He helps them on some cases. They help him on some cases. And we also have an international deputy because we have a very diverse community. Along with our agricultural guy, we have an international deputy who kind of is that liaison between some of those specific communities we have.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Did
I tell you about the lonely goat?
Yeah, tell us about the goat.
Okay,
And then I have a question about that.
So Deputy Crow, who actually was in a bunch of movies, by the way.
He was in a few.
He's
a movie star.
He's a movie star. He was showing us excerpts from his movies. He is the Clay County Sheriff's Office agricultural deputy. And we got him some training, and he was sort of waiting on his first official call. Now, just for clarification, Clay County Animal Control handles domestic animals, cats, dogs, stuff like that, and the smaller animals. Typically, Deputy Crow will handle the cattle, the livestock, stuff like that. So he gets a call, his first call, and it's a lady that is concerned because she hears this goat screaming in a yard.
And have you ever heard a goat scream? Like,
It's pretty funny. So he goes over there and he finds a goat in a pen, but the goat looks healthy. I mean, the goat's hollering, but the goat looks healthy. So he gets a hold of the owner and says, "Hey, I've got this complaint about your goat. Do you need food? Is everything okay?" And the lady responds that no, her goat's just lonely.
Aw.
And so that was Deputy Crow's first call as the Clay County Sheriff's Office agricultural deputy was the lonely goat call.
That is hilarious.
Yes.
And believe it or not, that I know dogs will do that. And goats, any animal, they actually get like that. Some of them will, especially if it's breeding season. That is we had a dog.
Well, we don't offer that service.
No, I would hope not.
That is not something that we do.
But I mean, if there's probably a reason it was pinned up. I'm assuming it was.
I don't
so
know.
it was lonely and wanted to reach out. To its
I reached
girlfriend
out
or
to
boyfriend.
Deputy Crow because I heard he got in his first call, and we had invested some money into his training and stuff, and I'm all excited about his first call, and I'm like, tell me all about it, and he's like, it was a lonely goat, so it was kind of anticlimactic there.
Those are the kind of notes he'll enter in the call, though. He'll put the goat was just lonely, and he'll clear the call out.
Right.
Well, it is what it is. But I could see in our county, you never know. You could get a call for like a zebra, and then you have to go. Are we even allowed to have zebras?
Well, there is a zebra in the county. There's some alpacas and
There's some wild animals here that they're permitted through Florida Wildlife Commission, but we do have some of that in the county.
Yeah.
Well, in Florida, I don't think we have it here, but you can say if we do or not. Maybe you can't. But Florida has a lot of big cats. There are big cat farms all over Florida. For those of you that watch Tiger King,
do we have big cats here? I'm not aware of any big cats.
I don't either. But
I don't think we have any in the county, but there are some very close. Very
Really?
close, yeah.
But somebody's listening to this right now going, well, I'm going to be the first.
No, please no, please no. Hey, I do want to talk about. So Lieutenant Layne just finished up some advanced leadership training.
I did.
You want to tell us about that? Because this is a really cool thing. That
Okay,
he did. Yeah.
So I went to the Command Officers Development course through Southern Police Institute. It spanned 5 months. It's 2 weeks a month. So it's half the month, every month for 5 months, to the tune of about 400 hours. It is an executive level leadership class. It deals with all of the things you would deal with in administration of an agency. The budget, setting things up, new training standards, basically building a department from the ground up. I think it will make me marketable and an asset to the agency for a few years to come before retirement. And it plays well to my future goals.
Oh, that's great.
So we're really big on ensuring that our folks who are inclined to move up and move forward have the opportunity. So whether it's the FBI National Academy, which we just had somebody graduate from there, SMIP, LEADS, LEADA, all the advanced leadership training that is offered throughout the state and throughout the country, we get our folks lined up to head there. It's going to make us, as our agency and our community continue to grow and the problems that we see and continue to grow. And when I say problems, I don't mean necessarily crime problems, but our budget becomes more cumbersome. Our, the grants, the funding, all of this stuff that is very nuanced. We're now exposing these guys to that earlier so that they can grow into it and learn it for opportunities for advancement as they move on in their careers.
That's great. And I
would be remiss, though, if I didn't thank my team for doing such a great job while I was gone.
They did a great job.
Oh, that's great.
My sergeant handled things great. My chief stepped in and handled things while I was gone.
Team effort for sure.
Had I not had a great support system, it would have been a nightmare trying to go for 2 months and then try to get things together when I came back. But they ran pretty smooth the whole time.
Well, that's great. And I think that's something that we've talked about many times, but it's worth repeating that I believe a good agency is always prepared. We are a growing county, and there is a lot of training that our agency does. And I don't know, maybe every agency in America does this, maybe, but I have a feeling we're setting the example because it feels like it from a citizen watching. Look, as a person who runs a company, you're either stagnant, which means you're failing, or you're growing and you're adapting to growth and you're prepared for growth. And I think that's what we do. I was like we had the undersheriff on 2 episodes ago, and I was like, wow, the training. And I know he had a lot of training coming into here, but he talked about some of the training that is going on now, and it's great because we as citizens are adapting as we grow, and it's good to see that our sheriff's department is too. And
we reached out. I know that you've been through day as a deputy, so you understand some of the things that we do, and that's a big part of showing people what we do. Besides just getting up in the morning and coming to work, you can see that the scenario-based stuff, some of the tools that we use as far as the vehicles and all that, and if we don't continuously train, all of this is a perishable skill.
Right, and you're training for things as well. again, repeating things you might have heard, but it's worth repeating. Where y'all are training for things that you hope never happen sometimes. And they
Correct.
might not ever happen, but you don't want to be in that situation where it does happen. Like we talked in the fair episode about what if there's I think this was your scenario. What if there's an outbreak of a stomach virus or something like that?
Right.
What are we going to do? It sounds like one of those scenarios where you're like, well, it's actually in this day and age, that's actually becoming more and more likely, but that something unfortunately like that could happen. But if it happened, you have to be prepared because that's not the time to be having that discussion when in the middle of it.
Right, right. I mean, you have to, today's law enforcement is so much different than 50 years ago, especially in Clay County. 50 years ago, our population was about 25, 30,000. Today, we're well over, we're right at 220. So, and in law enforcement in general, we've been called on to handle everything. We've got to handle everything and then everything in between. So we have to continuously train, and we have to ensure that the agency remains professional and cutting edge and efficient and effective. We as agency leadership have to make sure that the men and women who are in the lieutenants, the middle management, who have who have common sense and are just strong middle management folks, if they are inclined to move up, give them these opportunities to go get this additional training again, so they can backfill as our senior leadership retires. And we're really proud that Lieutenant Layne was able to graduate. I confirmed that he did graduate from the training.
I did graduate. He did.
He did.
With a 99.85.
Yes,
Nice.
yes. Yep. So, we're super proud of him and the work that he and his team do every single day for this community.
Well, that's great. All right, we're going to take a quick pause, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Never Off Duty. And we're back to Never Off Duty. I have a lot to talk about now. We took a little short break there early, so I hope you enjoyed that time to grab your own McDonald's. So
You have to rub it in that I did not get my
Yep.
McDonald's this morning.
He just keeps harping on that. I don't know
do.
what's up with that.
Well, because now
I'm
I
going
want
to
it.
DoorDash it right now.
Very important, though. If you have a question, email
Sheriff at claysheriff.com.
Okay.
Sheriff at claysheriff.com. Make sure you put in the subject line question for podcast or podcast question.
Yeah, and if you don't have a podcast question, they're happy to take other questions.
Right. And I'm looking forward to the episode because pretty soon we're going to be answering. We've got kids asking questions, and some of them are hilarious. So in a future episode,
let's
we're
do
gonna-
it.
Did I tell you-
Absolutely.
Yes.
Did I tell you what my son's already asked?
Yes.
Okay.
But don't reveal it because I want to say that. 'cause
Well, I
that's a
talked
good
about
one.
it last episode.
Oh, did you? Oh,
So
shoot.
be careful.
Okay.
Kids
All right.
say the darndest things.
Yes,
They
they
do.
do. And they have the funniest questions ever. So that'll be one of the future episodes.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. That'll be a lot of fun. So send in your questions. If you have other questions like how do you get permitted for a big cat in Clay County, send it there. I'm just
That would be an FWC question.
Right.
well, I mean,
Ask for Lieutenant Mike Layne. Lieutenant Mike Layne has all
I'll get
the
you to the right person. I'll find the answer, I promise.
so but it's a resource. Again, reach out if you have questions and communicate. That's kind of your what the reach out is for, is to let people know it is okay.
And we are 100% transparent at this agency. We will sit down and talk with anybody about anything, anytime they want to.
Yes.
So remember that if you're bored, no, I'm just kidding.
No, please.
No, but be respectful. I do think people need to understand that. In fact, we were talking the very last podcast about y'all's non-emergency line, and Art Hooker mentioned about how at the church he called the non-emergency line when it turned out he should have called 911. And I think that's always but be respectful of your time. That's all I'm saying. If it's not an emergency, be respectful.
Right now with our county fair going on, we are getting hundreds of questions every day from random people walking by. Some live in the county, some don't live in the county. They come by our booth over there, and we make sure we have plenty of staff, but a lot of different kind of questions. We're happy to answer
What's
those.
been your favorite question so far?
There were some questions the other day about the vehicle raffle.
Oh, the April Fool's.
Oh,
Day
that was
joke.
hilarious.
April Fool's vehicle
Oh
raffle.
my gosh, yes.
They still wanted to know how they could get their hands on that vehicle. They said, if you're not raffling off, can I just buy it? And I told them, unfortunately, we can't do that.
That's Deputy Ford. That was Deputy Ford's idea. You know that, right?
We can't sell you a police car. We just can't do that.
So this is what's funny. So in the episode, we were talking about the worst car to purchase is a used police car because, quite frankly, you have to use them hard sometimes.
Right.
I mean, if you're in Orange Park and you got to go to Keystone, you might be driving it a little rough to get there. I've seen, go over curbs, things that y'all are trained to do, and do it safe.
We would never. Don't tell the sheriff that. What is wrong with you?
So, did you see Lieutenant Layne jumping curbs in that?
No comment.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
But so we were talking about that, and then my wife had listened to the podcast, and then she saw Deputy Ford post that, and she sent it to me. Now, what she didn't know is, and this is very where I'm coming to if you're listening to this, if somebody forwards you something like that from like the Facebook page, when it gets to you and you click on it, it's the most recent message, not necessarily the one that they're forwarding.
Right.
So she's like, "Oh, this is hilarious," and then it was a very solemn message you had posted about a different thing, and I'm like, "Kelly, this is not funny." Like, and then she's like, "Why is it not funny? It's an April Fool's joke." I'm like, "No, this is not an April." We had a whole, and then I discovered it was.
That was a good April Fool's joke. We had a lot of people fall for it, including, and I don't want to pimp her out, but a former employee of ours who sent me a message going, "Why are we raffling off a car?" And I'm like, it's an April Fool's Day joke. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so stupid." But that, I still think the pool on the jail.
The pool on the jail
classic.
was hilarious.
That was my first April Fool's Day joke is, I announced 2 years ago we had artist renderings.
Oh my goodness.
That we were building a public pool on top of our jail, and we'd be selling family memberships to the pool. And that was hilarious. That was a classic. And it was funny because I caught so much grief for it.
You got some grief for that.
Yeah, yeah, but it was.
It's like lighten up, people. It's a joke.
Yeah, it was funny, but people still bring that one up as well. But Drew did a nice job on the 2018 vehicle raffle that included we were going to include the lights and sirens and the kid containment system. And
look, for anybody who's seen that video, when he gets done with police work, he has a job at any car dealership.
Right,
anywhere.
Yeah. He did good.
And you can actually, if I'm not mistaken, when and it might not be y'all's force that does this, but some agencies, when they're done with them, they there's like a wholesaler.
There's an auction sometimes.
Yeah, because I know a gentleman that works for CSX, and CSX bought him an old police car, and he loves it.
Right.
And they're about to replace it, and he doesn't want to because he's like,
he must have a Crown Vic.
It is.
Yeah, we all want Crown Vics back.
Yep.
Best police car ever.
Yeah. Yep.
But okay, so we do have a lot to talk about, but we were talking about this off mic, and I think this is kind of a neat little side of Clay County, and to show how, y'all are addressing the needs of our county, whereas sometimes people don't think about it. And one is, we were talking about vehicles and we are a rural county too, and you need those vehicles because Lieutenant Layne has a cool, I don't know if we won't describe it, but anyways, I'm like your vehicle.
Police truck.
Yeah, it's a truck. Okay, so there we
have a really cool police truck. That is a true story.
Right. So we were the county, the sheriff's office, and I don't know when this started. Was the deputies were in Chargers, which look really cool and go fast. But if you're talking about serving parts of the county like Clay Hill and Middleburg and Keystone, the Chargers just. They don't work. I mean, they sit so low to the ground, so they were getting torn up a lot quicker, and also the engines would flood if you went through a puddle of water. So when I came into office, I'm like, we need to start looking for vehicles that are going to be more appropriate for our community. So we have a combination. We do have some sedans, some trucks, some of the SUVs. But interestingly enough, across the nation, a lot of agencies are going towards the police package small SUV, just because it is so user friendly for deputies in their everyday work.
The problem, there's some budget challenges there. I mean, you're talking about a lot of money. We spend a lot of money on vehicles for an agency our size, and we are not a huge agency.
No.
Imagine a larger agency who's trying to replace an entire fleet of cars with SUVs or trucks. we can only do so many a year, just like they can, but our number's a whole lot smaller. So we get 3 or 4 new trucks or SUVs. We still have a lot of Chargers out there on the road.
Yes. Yep.
And every year we try to buy a few more and a few more until eventually we replace all those.
Yeah.
Right.
So the average sheriff's office vehicle, patrol vehicle, will keep it about 7 years. That's not a hard number. We take a look at maintenance costs. We take a look at mileage. We take a look at, has it been involved in a wreck, stuff like that. So, but, if you're just looking for an average, they last about 7 years, and then we rotate them out. And to Lieutenant Layne's point, vehicles are expensive. They're inexpensive because they have to be the police pursuit package. They have to have all of the tools inside the vehicle that we need, the computers, the radios, the lights, the sirens, the cage, all that stuff. And so we rotate them. We don't try to wait till they all are expired and then buy a bunch of new ones. We rotate every year.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And I think if you're from a citizen, I've heard this before. People are like, oh, well, you need to be able to catch the criminal going very fast. And I'm like, in my perspective, in this day and age, it's like with everything that you have at your disposal, seems like that you could actually communicate with the next step. You can be like, okay, they're headed down this road. You can cut them off there. So the needing to go 300 miles per hour, which obviously no car does that, but you know what I mean, to go
Right.
that having that Charger that can just jet, it's important every once in a while. But I think a more versatile vehicle makes a lot
versatile,
more
safe
sense.
vehicle with somebody behind the wheel that's a trained.
Right, because you can still get
Yes.
places very quickly
Yeah.
and solve that problem. The ability to go fast is, I think, a lot less important than the go super fast is. And again, like your truck, that goes pretty fast. I know I have
no comment to that.
Well, you don't. Yeah,
Lieutenant Layne, how fast does your truck go?
I also have no comment to that, Sheriff.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so now that we talked about vehicles, because that's something I like, let's talk about the police athletic league, PAL, and I think it's PALs plural. Is that
How?
PAL? Just PAL.
PAL.
Okay.
Just PAL.
Yeah, I was wondering why I thought that, because I was like, police athletic league. I don't see the S, but go ahead.
So PAL is Police Athletic League. It's an interesting concept, been around for years. Different agencies do it different ways. Here at the Sheriff's Office, we actually staff PAL with our own employees. We have a sergeant over there and a deputy, and we have a part-time maintenance fellow. So Sergeant Ken West does a great job with the PAL. Deputy Rob Russell is our PAL coordinator, and Shane Ronsich is our part-time maintenance guy. And our Explorer coordinator is also in the building to run the Explorer program. But PAL is a 501c3 charity, and they have their own budget. They're not necessarily funded by the Sheriff's Office. We have some manpower over there, but their funding is through donations, is through fundraising. We have a golf tournament next week. Plug for that, but it's full. We can't take any more teams at this time. Super popular. We've done it for years now. We're coming up on another anniversary year. But it is a program designed to get kids involved in youth sports that may not have an opportunity to otherwise. So it's affordable. We offer cheer. We offer baseball, t-ball, and also football. And we have fall ball with everybody, and we also run a spring football program, which is a little less popular in the world, but it allows more kids to get involved.
That's great, and I think what people listening need to understand, there's different theories on law enforcement. There's people that think or law in general, that we just need to be strict and get people, and then there's other people, and I think maybe this room can agree or not agree or just be quiet. I personally think you can get in early and shape somebody. It's just like having a good home. You're if you have a better community that's working with you, maybe somebody that was going to go one direction can think of that fond memory in their life and go, I'm going to go this way instead.
So 100% agree with you on that. I've always thought that. We used to have school resource officers. Now we have a school board police department, so they deal with that. We have to be able to get in and make contact with these kids when they're younger, because if we wait until high school, if they're lost, they're already lost. We have to work a lot harder to get them back. If we can build these relationships in elementary school and junior high and work with them on the football field, on the baseball field, we have to make sure that they understand that it's the police that are with them.
Right.
So when we go up there on events like opening day for baseball, I go in uniform, full uniform, like the greens, not a polo shirt and a pair of khakis, but the full uniform. So all of those children, they're playing baseball. That's what they're there to do. But they need to know that the police are there to support them. And they're like, well, why are the police here? Well, you're at the Police Athletic League. That we are trying to build those relationships earlier, so we don't have to try to reshape them later.
And preventing,
That's a great way to put it.
yeah, it is an excellent way. And solving that earlier is a return on investment too for society. It is much more expensive to have somebody make bad choices, develop a lifestyle, have to go through the criminal justice system, have to go to jail, the court trials, all those add up. And keep in mind, this is a nonprofit that you can get involved in and help.
Yes.
So let's plug that, and we'll talk more about that because I thought that was a great segue.
Nicely done.
Thank you. So the best place to go is the Facebook page, right?
Yeah, I think the Facebook page is the easiest way to find information about the Clay County Police Athletic League. We are the Clay Powell Guardians. And on the Facebook page, you can get information about the different programs that are offered. You can also get a contact phone number and the email address, which is Clay County Powell, or the website, I'm sorry, claycountypowell.com. But we're always looking for sponsors for our program because many of the kids that we serve really don't have a lot. And so sponsorships allow us to give the scholarships to the kids whose families probably could not afford a football or baseball season because it can be expensive. I mean, the good thing is we really work to keep our costs low, but when we're having to buy uniforms or buy equipment, there's a nominal charge to the athletes. And so having the sponsors helps us offset that charge, helps us maintain our fields, and just helps the program all around.
Now, what fields do y'all use? Is it?
So we're based out of Walter Odom Park, which is basically at the dead end of Woodside Drive and Parkwood Drive.
Orange Park. Yeah.
Okay.
In Orange Park. We serve the whole county. Anybody's welcome from Keystone to Green Cove, Middleburg. The location of the park, though, we have a lot of kids from that Orange Park area that come up there. And there is a hope that in the future we could expand that program and maybe take on an additional location. But again, we work with the county because the county actually owns the parks. We just lease from them. And we help maintain it and we help do all that. So if we try to take on another location, there's going to be a cost involved. Somewhere else we'd have to maintain, more personnel. It's not something we can just jump into. It's something we need to work toward. But that would allow us to serve even more children in the community further south in the county or in other areas of the county.
And it's something we definitely want to do. It's on it's in our vision for the future. But it's not cheap, and it takes personnel. We're committed to moving in that direction, but we are still behind as an agency on our per deputy per 1,000 population, and the 911 calls are the priority, right? We got to answer those. So as soon as we get to a position where we're comfortable with the number of deputies on the street, then we're looking to expand our PAL programs. But we have done some short-term PAL stuff with different parts of the community and looking to partner with Keystone about a short-term summer camp and just doing some stuff like that. So we're always looking for sponsors, and we're always looking for people who want to volunteer to help. And
y'all don't just do the I think y'all, I know you do the golf tournament, and then you do, because I'm playing with our property appraiser is going to be joining us on my team. He's actually a good player, so I'm not. But he doesn't.
You got a ringer? You got Tracy?
Yeah, he's good.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yes, he's very good. I've got 3 good players in me, so that's usually how I do it. So
that's the kind of team I need for golf.
Well, when you have the bad player, and I don't know, I can't remember. I do a lot of these for my company. We sponsor a lot of golf tournaments, but most tournaments they have your handicap. And so I have course worse handicap. So I help my team of better players out.
Oh, absolutely.
By bringing the handicap more reasonable. So it's I've won tournaments that way by my handicap. So it's
by being so bad. You've won by being bad.
I brought my team into competition by being so bad. So don't sell short the bad player. Every team needs to welcome your bad friend.
Right.
And let them play with you.
That would
I
be
like
me
it.
on the team.
That would be me. That would be me. I do want to. So you mentioned the golf fundraiser.
Yeah, I want to know what else
Okay,
there was.
yeah,
So that's why I was leading to
So
that.
every year because we have a board that runs the Police Athletic League to that oversees, and we look at different fundraisers. Historically, we've done a bass tournament, we've done a motorcycle ride, we've done a skeet shoot. The PAL golf tournament is a staple for us. This will be the second year that we're doing the do not get caught 5K fun run, and that's going to be May 13th
I have to
at
put that
the
in my
Orange
calendar.
Park Mall. Yeah, May 13th, Orange Park Mall, and it starts at 7 a.m. I'm sorry, no, that's a little bit early. The fun run starts at 9 a.m. The 5K starts at 8 a.m. You probably want to get there about 7:30 to get warmed up. But a fun, easy 5K run and a shorter run for the kids, which is a lot of fun because I don't. Did you see it last year where they had the policemen and the kids were all chasing each other around the course?
I was still on the course when that happened, when they
That's
ran
pretty
that
funny.
fun run. But, I mean, it's a 5K run for those who like to run, but there are donuts. So why would you not want
Why would you not
be
want to
involved
go?
in that?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. Not that police like donuts.
No. Everybody loves donuts.
Everybody
They're
loves
delicious.
donuts,
That's right.
Yes, but you can also go to the Clay County Police Athletic League Facebook page and get more information on the donut run. And there's information on the run as well on the Clay County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. But it'd be fun to have a huge crowd out there. And
We had a great time last year. This is the second year. We're
This
going to
is
have
the
even
second
more
year.
fun this year.
That's great.
A true story though. My son's going to kill me, so I convinced my kids to go out there and run it with me. And my youngest son, although he's very athletic, he just doesn't like to run. And I didn't realize he had taken his cell phone with him. He was 13 or 14. I think he was 13 at the time. And I get this phone call, and I'm running, and I look at the phone, and it's him calling me, and I'm like, "There's no
Were
way."
you running or were you fast walking at that point? Because there was a little of both going on.
I'm a
there.
walker. It's like somebody who walks and jogs at the same time.
That's me.
Yeah. So I'm like, there's no way my son has finished this race, gone and gotten his phone and called me. So I answered the phone while jogging, and he says, "Hey, Mom, I'm done." I'm like, wow, that was fast. He goes, no, I'm about halfway. He goes, I quit. He goes, I need donuts.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
We will have plenty of donuts.
We'll have plenty of donuts.
My
And
youngest son is a run. My wife's side of the family are all runners. And
she looks like a runner.
yeah.
Yeah.
My father-in-law does or he used to until he got injured. But he did tons of marathons. My brother-in-law is a track coach. So my youngest is a runner. We've done some of these, and he'll run the whole way. Like he is focused, and he's been doing
Good
this
for
at
him.
4. My older son he'll run with me because I'm the slow runner. So
And then he'll quit halfway, and you guys will go get donuts.
I'll be like, it's okay, buddy. We can walk for a little bit. And he's like, okay, Dad.
I'm not much of a runner. I'm not built for that, so I don't run either.
But it is a great way to support the Police Athletic League. Have a good family, easy event, and
And they can't see the medals, but these things are awesome.
Yeah, these medals are awesome. They're the medals that everybody will get are shaped like donuts with little like police aviator glasses on them
that's
and a
cool.
police hat. So everybody that finishes the race will get a little donut medal, and then we do have awards, nice little awards for the winners, and that's a lot of fun.
Well,
as well.
it's also good exercise and a good time. So you should come. And if you're a company, if you work for a company, if you have a friend that owns a company, go ahead
if
and
you know somebody,
Yeah,
if you go to a company,
forward them this podcast and say
Yes.
that we're talking about the Police Athletic League. This would be a cool thing for our company to sponsor. Just go ahead and forward it to them. Tell them that, and you might mention go ahead and subscribe while you're forwarding it.
Right, never off duty.
Never off duty. But no, seriously, you don't have to do that. But you should mention Police Athletic League, and a lot of times with companies, I'll have that an employee will bring something to my attention that I don't know about, and I'm like, sure, we're happy to sponsor it.
Yep.
You just have to bring it to somebody's attention. Look, sometimes they can't. A lot of companies have boards that have to decide that, and a lot of companies usually like us, we make our decisions once a year of which we're going to do that year, because at the end of the day, you can't help everybody. You have to pick and choose who you can help. But this is a great one, so bring it to the attention of somebody, and they might be able to help out.
Absolutely. So the other program that we're really proud of too, that Lieutenant Layne oversees, is our Police Explorers, and they are, in fact, we're almost done with the fair, and they are busting their behinds parking cars at the fair. But you want to talk about the Police Explorer program?
So the Police Explorer program that we use is based through the Florida Sheriff's Association Explorers, and it's for kids 14 to 21. and they basically get some pseudo type law enforcement training. They practice traffic stops. They do domestic scenarios. Several times a year, they participate in competition all over the state. And they could win awards. There are scholarships available as they get older, start moving toward college. It is a great way to give them guidance and a pathway if they have any interest in law enforcement at all. Even if they don't necessarily want to be a police officer, it gives them a great structured environment. We meet once a week on Mondays, typically either at our PAL park or at one of our substations, and they do some training. Our coordinator is Deputy Eva Solis. She's has a
great
passion for the children in the community and does a great job with that Explorer program. We have several former advisors that are still involved with the program. They've moved on with another job within the sheriff's office, but they still want to be involved in that because it is so great to see kids, some who are at risk when they come to the program, and to see them be able to stay more focused on that adolescent type age. They're teenagers. Teenagers are going through a lot of change. They're trying to find their place in the world. This gives them some camaraderie, some people that think the same way they do. They wear the same uniform. They have a uniform like the sheriff's office does, and they have a dress uniform for ceremonies, and it can give them some focus during that time in their life when things are very distracting, to get them on the right path and have a good start. We also have a rank structure, so we have leadership positions within the Explorer program. So you have kids who are 16, 17, 18 years old are responsible for some of their peers, and that can give somebody a great leg up when it comes time to go to college and take some of those student government positions and things that will give them a helping hand going through that post-secondary education.
Yep. What's the age for that? So
14 to 21.
14 to 21. So, and where should they go if is it on the sheriff's website?
So we have the same. It's on the sheriff's office website. The Clay County Post 987 Explorers have a Facebook page, and they also have a website.
And I will say this from again, citizen's perspective here. I've actually talked to a few deputies, and because I always ask, well, how did you get your start? And I'm kind of shocked when I hear, I started in Explorers.
So funny story, I did.
Okay, great.
You started in Explorers. Learn something new.
I was in the Explorers. My first couple of years in high school, I didn't move here until I was already a sophomore. So where I moved from, I had just started looking into the Explorers. I wanted to be a police officer. Cops and robbers. I played cops and robbers my whole life. So I joined the Explorers when I got here. It was really funny. A deputy who is long since retired did a career day at high school, and I asked her about the Explorers with Deputy Connie Goon. I still remember she was there. She was a school resource officer, and I had really long hair. It was like down the middle of my back. I would have
never guessed that.
I grew up on heavy metal. I'm a Metallica fan, the whole 9 yards.
You and the undersheriff have that in common.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yep.
I went up and spoke to her about the Explorers, and she looked at me. She didn't even say, thanks for asking, or it's a great program. She looked at me, and the first thing she said was, you're going to have to cut that hair.
Oh.
I said, I'm willing to cut my hair, and I did. And I joined the Explorers, and unfortunately, I was in school. I got a full-time job. I just didn't have time, so I ended up leaving the program. Didn't want to, but didn't lose my passion. Life changed for me a little bit, and it took a few years for me to get back to the academy and actually I joined the reserves here for a few years before I came on full-time. But I did start in the Explorers, so the passion was there. And I got to do all the same stuff. I got to train with like a deputy. I got to come out and ride with the deputies and see what the job was all about. And our Explorers do that today. They get to ride with the deputy and see what the job is before they jump both feet in and then say, oh, this career's not for me. This job's not for everybody. And I think everybody knows that. There are people that come to our citizen academies that say, I could never do your job because there's some danger involved. There's some long hours. You have to work holidays.
Stress.
There's a lot that goes into it. But being able to start in the Explorers, I knew that this was where I wanted to be. This was cops and robbers to a whole nother level.
That's awesome. And it's and if I'm not, because I know I remember going to an event in Bradford County, and the Explorers were helping parking. Are they helping with parking at the fair?
Oh, yes.
So we reach out to all of them. We've had Nassau County over here helping us out. Bradford County's come to help us. We go to help them.
Yep.
It's a great relationship for these kids, too, because they see more and more explorers in other counties doing the same thing they're doing.
Well, and they do an excellent job.
They do a great job.
Shocked
Yes.
me
Very
how
hard.
awesome they were. So that's credit to the training. And if you're a parent, I think that, look, a good home life is a great way to produce a good citizen as they go into an adult. But it has been proven time and time again, getting involved in something, whether it's sports, the POW, whether it's Explorers, whether it's Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, something. Get involved in a team sport. Those teams, and they're all teams, help kids through a very, very interesting time of their life.
They need mentorship outside the home.
Yes, they do.
They need mentorship. And I've been lucky. My son has taken a liking to some school sports as well as scouts. So my wife and I are both involved in scouting programs, and we're both involved in his team sports. So he stays very busy outside of school and very busy outside the home.
And it helps out a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. Not only does it help out from the mentorship and the keeping you on the right path, it also helps out getting into college. It helps out into careers later.
Absolutely.
Because employers see that, colleges see that, and during a difficult time in your life, and difficult because you're going through adolescence, not maybe anything else, but that is a difficult time of a change and adjustment. You decided to focus on something, which shows that at a very young age you're able to do that, and that's why it's important. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I tell all the scouts that it has helped me my entire life, and that's exactly why. Because when you're trying to get a job, somebody goes, "Oh, you're an Eagle Scout." Well, you were 16.
Dedication.
Yep. You made a decision in a time, and trust me, I remember going through Eagle Scout going, do I really want to go camping this weekend or go on a date? That was tough, but I but I stuck with it.
Boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I stuck with it. And it shows the strength of character that get involved in something. That's the takeaway there.
Yeah. And we have a really solid Explorer program. Deputy Solis has done a phenomenal job, and our explorers compete in different events against other explorers from across the state, and they do really well. In fact, Clay County hosted the recent delegate convention
in September. We did.
Yeah, so and our folks did really good. So a great program, and if you've got a young person that's interested in law enforcement or interested in the explorers, reach out to us. You can always email sheriff@claysheriff.com, and we'll put you in touch with the right person.
Well, great. So that's a great stopping point, unless you want to bring up anything else, because I think again we've touched on the outreach that this office does, and it's great, and we're reaching kids young, and that's important. And there's so many ways you can get involved. And at the end of the day, remember, the door is open. Now you've got to take it upon yourself to knock on the door and go in. Mm-hmm. So, all right, well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having
me. Appreciate it. And appreciate the work you do. I like I said, as a citizen of Clay County, I really, really appreciate the work y'all do, because I see it. I see the Facebook posts, the Twitter posts, and all the different ways you're trying to reach out to the community. And I think that builds a better community, because when people feel involved in the community and they feel that we're all part of it, we're all in this together.
Yes. I would like to think that every law enforcement agency has a community like Clay County, but I don't think that's the case. I think we have a great place to work here.
Yeah, we do. And it's, don't take away, Judson, from yourself, because we know that, you and your family are supportive of law enforcement. And I think all of our deputies know that. And that means a lot to us as well.
I appreciate that. But we have a good community. I mean, look, so many citizens we are. I know you're green, but we call it back to blue. So it's got to be a little.
We can still be blue, even though we wear green.
Right? I don't know how the police departments hijacked the deputy sheriffs, but anyways, that's another podcast.
That's right. But anyways, thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe. That helps us out. It helps get the word out. That's why it's important to subscribe. So if you're listening to Never Off Duty, please keep listening.